Hey, the Biochemistry Academy here. Have you ever imagined the world where we can engineer life itself, like curing disease, enhancing food production, modification of an organism, and protecting our environment? Well, this is not a science fiction. It is actually the exciting reality of biotechnology. In this video, we will introduce you to biotechnology and genetic engineering. Now we will explore how living systems can be harnessed and utilized to solve some of the greatest challenges of our time. Let's look into the secrets of genetic engineering and dive into the world of molecular biology and discover the tools that are shaping the future. So the first question is, what is biotechnology? When I was first asked what is biotechnology, when I saw the word biotechnology, I was like, it can be split into three parts because I saw the word bio, which means life, tech means technology, and logy means study. So I was like, it is the study that is based on the technology of life. The professor was like, wow, I actually tried, but how will I now define biotechnology to a layman's understanding? So that was where we actually hooked. So the professor was like, if you define biotechnology to a layman understanding, is when humans began to plant their own crops, domesticate animals, ferment juice into wine, making cheese and yogurt, and the making of living bread by the action of yeast. And the whole class was surprised. Well, there are different definitions of biotechnology, but we will bring out the easier and the standard definition. Well, biotechnology is the technology that is based on biology by using and harnessing cellular and biomolecular process to develop technologies and products that help improve our lives and the health of our planet. Or it can be defined as any technique that uses living organisms or substance from organisms to make or modify a product to improve plants or animals or to develop microorganisms for specific use which are for the benefit of mankind. Simple, right? So biotechnology simply just manipulates biological organisms to make products that benefit human beings in areas such as food production, in medicine, in mining, and so on. We should understand that biotechnology is multidisciplinary in nature because it involves input from engineering, computer science, microbiology, biochemistry, medicine, and so on. So, what are the goals of biotechnology? Now, the number one goal of biotechnology is that it helps us to understand more about the process of inheritance and gene expression. It also provides understanding and treatment of various diseases, particularly genetic disorders. And another goal is that it helps to generate economic benefits, including improved plants and animals for agriculture. Next, let's talk about the stages of biotechnology. The development of biotechnology can be divided into three stages, which are 1. Ancient biotechnology, 2. Classical or traditional biotechnology, and 3. the modern biotechnology. In the ancient biotechnology, this is the biotechnology that involves food, shelter, and domestication. It is likely just the biotechnology to a layman understanding that we mentioned earlier. While in the classical or the traditional biotechnology, this is the biotechnology in which fermentation that involves the making of wine, beer, and some alcoholic drinks. And in this traditional biotechnology, it involves the use of organisms to yield new products or to modify food and other useful products for human use. Like for example, like we mentioned, most of the beverage that we eat like curd, cheese, cider, wine, and bread, they were made by the use of certain microorganisms during the process. Like for example, microorganisms like yeast are used for bread making. Then lactic acid bacteria are used for the making of yogurt. Then some bacteria also used in the making of wine and some kind of alcoholic drinks. So let's look at the modern biotechnology. Now, in the modern biotechnology, it involves the use of biological systems and processes for our benefit, like genetic engineering and molecular level manipulation, like soil, water, and air pollution can be cleared by using microorganisms or organisms components. Example involve the use of DNA diagnostic tools, gene cloning, structural and functional biometrics for genetic manipulation. Okay, to understand this more, let us see the difference between the traditional biotechnology and the modern biotechnology. Now, the number one difference is that in the traditional biotech, it refers to a variety of old methods used for creating new products or modifying current ones by utilizing living organisms. While in the modern biotechnology, it encompasses a variety of procedures that entail deliberate and controlled manipulation of genes. So in this modern biotech, genes are being manipulated, and also cells and live tissue are manipulated to induce change in an organism genetic makeup. And another difference between the traditional biotech and the modern biotech is that in the traditional biotech, it includes tissue culture and mitogenesis, while in the modern biotech, it includes DNA profiling, genome analysis, transgenesis, and DNA cloning. While another difference in between the traditional biotech and the modern biotech is that in the traditional biotech, it makes use of biological ecosystem to change food and other valuable items for human consumption, while in the modern biotech, it manipulates genes and live tissue in a sterile environment. Now, the fourth difference between the traditional biotech and the modern biotech is that in the traditional biotech, it involves breeding animals and crops to make cheese, yogurt, wheat, lager, and wine, while in the modern biotech, it applies current biotechnology methods for food, farming, forestry, medicine, and industrial processes as well. And also, in the traditional biotech, People discovered centuries ago how to exploit the organic processes that occur constantly within living tissue by chance. While in the modern biotechnology, the structure of DNA and the transmitting of genetic information from one generation to the next have been discovered in 1953, and it was the beginning of modern biotechnology. Alright, let us see the application of biotechnology. Biotechnology is applied in feeding the world, in healing the world, in fueling the world, and also in developing the world. So we can bring out this application as feed the world, heal the world, fuel the world, and develop the world. So look at each of them one by one. We first talk about feeding the world. How is biotechnology applied in feeding the world? One, in feeding the world, biotechnology improves crop insect resistance. It enhances crop herbicide tolerance, and it facilitates the use of more environmentally sustainable farming practices. So biotech is helping the world by generating larger crops yield with fewer inputs, by lowering volumes of agricultural chemicals required by crops, thereby reducing the runoff of these products into the environment. And by the use of biotech crops that needs fewer application of pesticide, and to this it allows farmers to reduce filling farmland. And biotech also help in producing foods free of allergens and toxins such as mycotoxin. And lastly, biotech helps in feeding the world by improving food and crops oil content to help improve cardiovascular health. Two, in healing the world, biotechnology is helping the world heal by harnessing nature's own toolbox and using our own genetic makeup to heal by reducing the rate of infectious disease, by saving millions of children's lives, and by changing the odds of serious life-threatening condition affecting millions around the world. So we can see that biotechnology is helping the world heal by tailoring treatments to individuals to minimize health risks and side effects. Biotech also help in creating more precise tools for disease detection, and it helps in combating serious illnesses and everyday threats that are confronting the developing world. 3. In fueling the world, biotechnology uses biological processes such as fermentation and harnesses biocatalysts such as enzyme, yeast, and other microbes to become microscopic manufacturing plants. They reduce the use of petrochemicals, and they also help to fuel the world by decreasing water usage and waste generation and tapping into the full potential of traditional biomass waste products. Then 4, in developing the world, biotech is helping the world develop through chemical industries, through environmental maintenance, and through industrial biotechnology. Now, they produce enzyme used in laundry detergents, and they also use genetically modified organisms that breaks down industrial waste, and they develop bio-based biodegradable plastics which help to develop the world, and they improve manufacturing that reduces the amount of waste products. So we just mentioned genetically modified organisms. So let us just look at what they mean. If you remember earlier, we mentioned GMOs. So what are GMOs? Well, GMOs stand for genetically modified organisms. And these genetically modified organisms, they are organisms that contain either an additional gene sequence, or they are organisms that have a deleted gene sequence, or they are organisms that has a change in their gene sequence, or they are products that are produced from genetically modified organisms. Now, there are genetic modified food, and this food is one that has sequences of DNA from another organism inserted into its genome in order to get a desired phenotype. For example, most of the food that we eat are genetically modified. Like for example, if you check one of the food that we mostly consume, for example, chicken, because if you check the native chicken, it takes a little bit long time for the chicken to mature, and we now happen to see that the size is not even as big as the genetically modified chickens. For example, in African region they call it agric chicken, and if you see that in the span of 3 weeks, you see that the chicken is already big and is already ready for consumption. But normally it takes a longer time for the chicken to grow. But because of it has been genetically modified, that is why it grows faster, and the food that the chicken is being given is also genetically modified. So you now see that rapid growth, and most of the food and the vegetables like that we eat also, you see that it grows in a short period of time, like 2 months the crop is already matured and ready for eating. But genetically modified organisms also have their disadvantage, and if you check, most people are against genetically modified organism because it also has its disadvantage. For example, most of these genetically modified organisms or crops or food can also result to the cause of certain disease or even some kind of cancer. So hit the comment section. What is your take on genetically modified organism? Are you for it or are you against it? Because there are those that are against GMO that are spiritual and says that in as much as God did not create them that way, why do we need to change their gene sequence? So what is your take? See you in our next video.